Hi folks, welcome back. Well, a couple of months ago my wife set me a challenge of installing 400 watts of solar on a 26-foot sailboat. So in the next 15 minutes I'll show you how I went about that and the end result. Hopefully it all works out. So the kit we bought came with two 200 watt solar panels, so 2 kilowatt hour per day apparently. A 40 amp charge controller MPPT. We also got the 2000 watt or 2 kilowatt inverter charger. The battery is a 200 amp hour and a little LCD display, and also the BT2, which is the Bluetooth module. It comes with a bunch of fuses, one from the controller to the battery, one from the controller to the panels, and also it comes with a big chunky 240 amp fuse which is from the battery to the inverter. You get the cables from the charge controller to the battery, they're long enough. You also get some MC4 cables from the charge controller to the panels. They're not really long enough, so you may need to get some extra or additional cables there. It does not come with the cables from the battery to the inverter, because obviously they're going to be different runs depending on your installation. And it also comes with some T-pieces in case you want to install your solar array in parallel. Well, the first thing I needed to do was decide where the battery was going to live. The new lithium ion battery, I think it's a 200 amp hour thingy that came with the kit. Now obviously that's just chock-a-block, there's no space in there, I couldn't fit it in there. I'm going to leave, well the plan is just to leave these two in at present. I think the configuration is you can use one or the other or both at the same time, but essentially they're both house and starter batteries, so all the DC at present is running off these, and also the starter batteries, which is cool. So the plan was to just have a bit of solar, just to have some additional 230 volt stuff on the boat. So definitely no room in there for the battery, so the next bay, which was chocker full of spares and bits and pieces, I've emptied this out, so this looks ideal. So what I've done is I've made a false bottom and lined it with a bit of that Kingspan insulation board I had knocking around. So I've made a little stabiliser there, but I think it would be a good idea to get one of those battery straps and strap it up properly. So that's looking quite good. The problem with that is I looked at the instructions for the inverter, and it suggests that it needs a fair bit of space around it, so I couldn't manage to fit the inverter in there, which is what I thought I would do originally, but that's not going to happen. So anyway, so the battery's in there, 40 amp fuse, oh blimey, 40 amp fuse, which is from the solar panels. Hang on, no, that's from the 40 amp fuse, comes straight from the charge controller. Get the back in there. Yeah, so that's 40 amp fuse from the charge controller, negative from charge controller. Now I think I'll put that on the buzz bar and not on the battery. That will go to the battery. Here I've got the charge controller installed there, and that's already connected to the solar panels, and the inverter's back there. I might need to move that inverter in a minute, just to make room for that RCB there, or that consumer unit there. So I think I'll put a consumer unit between the inverter and the sockets, but I'll do that in a moment. So that's that. On the outside I've put the panels are just there for the moment, while I wait for some more fittings to hang them properly. But I'll do that in another video. Hopefully I'll get the fittings next week and I can hang these properly, but just the test, I've just sighted them there for now. Adding to that, I've also installed a breaker there, which is essentially just so I can cut the power from the panels to the charge controller. I've tested them, it all works, it looks good. I put a voltmeter on, and the way I've wired it up, I think I was getting about 59 volts, which is about right for these two panels wired up in series. So go back in. So it's been absolutely pissing down for weeks and weeks and weeks. I couldn't really get anything done, so I decided to do most of the cabling from home. And the nice thing about doing it this way was that if we go back to the battery bay, I'll turn the camera around so you can see the fuse board's going to go there with all the components on. It would have been an absolute ball ache to try and lean in there and fit it all in situ. And also as well, I think this is not that thin, and I would have ended up having screws probably coming through. So yeah, I've measured this bit of marine ply out, and you can see the amount of configurations I've used. I've had to fill this up. There's that many screw holes in it. I think I've tried 24 different configurations, but I'm happy with this one. I've tested it, it fits now in the slot, so it does mean I can just drop this in, maybe run a couple of bolts in there just to secure it before I wire it up. So what came with the Renogy kit? That I think it's, what do they call it? It's a 2/A AWG. What's that? American wire gauge, I think. Basically, it's a 70mm square core. It's a heavy, it's a beast, but it is rated for that 2000 watt inverter. So that's a 240 amp fuse, inline fuse. And that's the battery shunt for the battery monitor, which I'll install, set that up in a bit. And that's it for the Renogy kit. So the Renogy kit came with 240 fuse, the battery shunt, that lumpy 70mm square cable, some MC4 cable connectors from the panels. It wasn't really long enough, so I had to add some more. The charge controller, the inverter, and the cables from the charge controller to the battery. And the rest of this I just added myself. So the way I've done this is I've put a nice on-off switch there, so I can disconnect all of this should I need to do some maintenance on it. And I put some really beefy buzz bars, so 300 amp buzz bar, obviously because it's going to be carrying current between the battery and the inverter. Again, there, that neutral there, I'm going to connect that up to the starter bank battery. Is it starter or starter / house battery, just so I've got a common ground. So I'll connect that one up. So while I was sort of fiddling and fudging around with all this, it struck me that we're going to be doing some work in the future on the toilet area, and we're going to add some hot water up there. Hot water, some strip lighting, which means we're going to naturally need to put a pump in as well. So what I've done is I've put a little switch fuse there, a fuse box there, which I've pre-wired it, so it's easy. I didn't really want to be farting around with this inside the battery base, so I thought I'd do that now, and connect up the cables for it. So all I've got to do is run these cables back behind there and leave them there for now until I'm ready to connect up. So I've allowed for a water pump which will go in line. I've also allowed for a sender, so you can monitor the water level in the reservoir we've got there. I've also got one for an LED light that's going to go in the bathroom. There is one in there at the moment, but I just wanted to run off this, so all of that heads area is kind of can be isolated from that 20 amp. I realise it's only 20 amp. It's probably less than this little lot combined, but essentially that's just there just to shut this lot off, and everything else remains alive. Also, I've put a little LED lamp there, so that will go somewhere in the battery bay, just so if I need to lean in, I've got a little switch light. A little switch light there to turn on, so I can see what's going on. And that's now ready to go into the battery bay. Well, I thought I'd do this for a little sanity check. So that little kind of portable power pack we bought just allow us to work on the boat. I made up a little DC jack male plug there with a couple of clips on it, just to give it some power. Knock that on, so that's on. Close the breaker. Yeah, happy days. Look, so that's all good. I could put a meter on that and test it, but I'm pretty convinced that, given that works, that's all good. Turn that off. Yeah, happy days. Okay, so ready to go in. Okay, so the battery's in. Is it a fuse panel? Or the Gubbins board is installed. Ideal, lights working. I can knock that off because I don't need any of this side just yet. So I'll knock the power off to that side. So what we should have is the battery monitor off that shunt there. Should be working. Oh, it was a bit of a fiddle and a faff trying to do this in there, so I've connected it all up. I actually connected it all outside in the sunshine. Lovely. So now we've got the inverter out into the little consumer unit there, and that is going to feed the cables. That is going to feed the first socket in the link, and I've connected up the packing great battery cables there. I'll probably end up lopping a bit of this off, but I got 2 meters just to make sure I could reach the buzz bars in there. And now I'm just going to mount this up and get this mounted up, and yeah, get this connected to a socket. I think that's the next job. So it looks like the panels are doing their job, but I guess it's a bit of a moot point now because the battery's fully bloody charged. So I've got the cable through. I'm just waiting for a couple of lugs to be delivered. I can clip them off, connect them up to the buzz bars, and you can see in there. So consumer units in. So I think now the charge controller is showing 58 volts, but it's just showing the panel, so I'm guessing that means the battery's fully charged now. The consumer unit's wired in, and got a cable running up there to let's tidy that up. cable running up to a socket, the first of the sockets, and battery cables in. I think you can take that display panel off and plug in a little RJ11 cable and mount it somewhere around there, I think. There we go. It's all looking right tidy. And they're ready to connect up. So go through there and then run those cables up front. So far, so good. I'll get them clipped off and connected up to the buzz bars, and then we can really check whether this lot's all working. So the final stages of the solar install ran through this 70mm square heavy cable for the inverter. Managed to get some M8 crimps to fit this beefy cable, and then that's all hooked up to the inverter via this little consumer unit there. And I'm really surprised how quiet this thing is. Now, I've had inverters in the past for commercial use, but you can hardly hear this thing. It's so quiet. In fact, I wasn't convinced it was running at first, but yeah, there we go. Look, so it's now powering the sockets. I thought I'd put that nice little one up there. So powering my strip LEDs as I was hoping. Not happy with that. Pretty cool. And yeah, so that's that. That's the solar install done. All apart from I'm still waiting for the corner brackets. I've ordered stainless steel T-pieces so I can connect that end of that bar I've bought to this end. I've been waiting weeks for the bloody things, but hopefully this should be here next week so I can hook them up. I'll pick up a bit of flat alley bar to go on the back of them, and I've got some swivel, so I'll do that as the next video, just mounting those solar panels properly. But yeah, even so, it's a crappy day. They're drawing a little bit of power, 20 odd watts, so you know, happy days, it's all good. So I can crack on with some other jobs now. I've got a few little jobs to do. I want to finish up just setting this Starlink up, so we've got a bit of internet connectivity. A little pet project I've got is that comes through. I fed that through. That is my I'm going to install this. This looks a bit of a mess at the moment, but that's a little weather station, a little Papago weather station. So I'm going to set that up at some point just for a bit of fun. That'll allow me to measure temperature inside. I can measure the temperature inside the battery bay, inside the cabin, or even have a temperature probe outside as well, so I can measure ambient temperature outside, and also it will hook up to my anemometer up there as well. And the neat thing about that is when I get it set up, you'll be able to read it off a laptop or phone. So yeah, nice little bit of fun that. Getting there.